part of SJM's greatest strengths is that she retcons book one. Hi, I'm Allie.
And I'm Sam, and this is the Knit Ritz podcast.
So, how'd your writing go this week?
So my writing goal was, at least a word every day for a total of 2,000 for the week, right? I did write. I did not write every day, but I did write the last 3 days. So today, yesterday, the day before. And I have a total of, I just checked it. It was like just over 1,000 words, I think, is what I did.
Nice.
Yeah, I finished up a chapter and then I started another chapter.
Yeah, you go in order.
Yes, I do. And so I had sort of finished like the main stuff of the chapter I was working on, which is my Gideon point of view, my first Gideon point of view. And like all the stuff that it kind of had to be there was there. And then I was like, I'm done. Okay. And so then I had to like kind of wrap up that chapter, which ended up being almost 500 more words with between the like, I went here and I did that and I saw this. And then like the kind of a little bit of a cliffhanger-ish moment so that you want to keep reading the next chapter. And then the following chapter is a Genevieve POV. So she's my other main character and she's kind of torn between some stuff. So she's got some family insight and some what's going on with Gideon stuff happening, and we're still treading on very, very delicate surfaces. But yeah. And I'm really trying to develop the Liev character, which is her brother, and I'm having a little bit, not a harder time, but I feel like I just I haven't had as much of him. So like, I had this idea for how I wanted him to react to something, and then I had to like kind of go back through today and be like, was that the tone that like was kind of there to like get to a point? Because I don't want it to be like, oh, I'm ride or die, and then now I'm mad, which like let's not do that. So I had to like kind of go back and like kind of fix the tone a little bit, so that it makes sense that he has this like he seems pissed, but he's mostly scared kind of moment. So
nice.
But the wildness of my writing yesterday. So I went to the backyard. I'm hiding in my little corner, typing away like a little, gremlin. And as I'm like getting into it, I'm like, yep, here we go. Here's the flow. The cat gets outside. Cat gets outside and goes up the tree. Then her meowing has like cat called the other neighborhood cat. So now I have like 2 other cats in the backyard just looking at her like, you want to get down and fight us? What's up? And so she's like halfway like at them and also like, meow, mom, come get me. So I'm like trying to deal with that. Then my son gets a splinter, full on meltdown. Daughter
he's
is
just
tired.
next door so you can like hear him, huh?
Yeah, daughter is hangry and tired and painting, and like it was just like, and then out of all of it I get like a text that's like, your mobile order is ready for pickup, and I was like, I'm done. So I closed it. I walked away. I like cleaned it up a little bit today and was like, I got 1,200 words. I'll take it.
Oh yeah,
I'll take my 1,200 words. Yeah.
I got like 300 for the week, and because I did do a good amount of reading though this week. So that's what I did. Which I'll talk about in a second. But in terms of writing, actually, you were saying something that reminded me of the tone thing. Because I just wrote this scene. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it like this. I don't know. Like I have this character who has this like backstory, and I'm a stickler about not. I got some thoughts. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna go in order and not be ADD. Okay. I'm a stickler about world building, and I don't want to just be like, and now it's time to give the guy's backstory, right? I wanted some things to be revealed to this character because he was pressing him, and he was like, "Well, what's your deal? Why do you?" And so, but then it's like kind of said too much, and I was like, I feel like a guy like that it's not gonna be so open. But then I'm like, but that's also kind of a trope that like a cop type character is too can't deal with his emotions or wouldn't say it straight. So kind of part of me like kind of likes straying from the norm of that kind of gruff, unemotional, kind of unavailable cop type character because he's sort of a cop. He's like an army guy. Um, but and then part of me is like, well, am I just being like that because I just don't want to do the trope, or is that his true character? And then I
Yeah.
had this whole like internal thing. I was like, I think like because this kid, he sort of is gonna he implicitly sort of trusts him, and he just kind of just does. He just seems like a good kid, so he's willing to tell him stuff. But I don't know. I feel like maybe he I think I need to go shift the tone, but I was thinking a lot about that kind of stuff um, this week, basically. But yeah, it's hard to sort of figure out.
Well, and I feel like the first time through, things kind of develop a little organically as well. Like again, as a planner still and a
Hmm.
plotter and all the things, there's still things that happen organically, right? I
True.
was looking through like my outline, and where I'm at, I guess chapter wise was like 7 on my outline. I'm writing chapter 14. So like clearly I've doubled what I
Yeah,
expect to sort of be the progress of the story. And that's because as I'm writing, I'm like, oh, I definitely need a chapter that like kind of gives this or kind of does that. Is this for your
the long story,
the
the
long
big
story?
one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Because that one, like I said, that guy, the cop character. I'm just calling him a cop character more because it's a cop archetype, like someone
Yeah.
who's supporting the state, some kind of training.
Yeah.
Um, but he's
He
really like
works
an
for the
army guy.
man in
Yeah.
a authoritative position.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he operates under law and order.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know, cause yeah, I know his backstory is some of the most interesting. So I'm like, I gotta feed that a little story. But I think I might just pull back some of the story. Um. Okay. Yeah.
What is your read, so you're reading, we don't have reading goals, we just talk about our reading
Yeah. Well.
journey, because if we make goals we will meet the reading goals. It's the writing goals that are
The
hard.
writing goals are the hardest. Okay. So first of all, Carissa Broadbent's still on top. Okay. So no offense to
Really?
Sarah
No,
A.
that's
Parker, but I would say that Broadbent is the best romantasy writer that I've read. Better than
okay.
SJM by far.
Yep.
Sorry, better than Rebecca Yarros by
By
far.
far.
Better than SJM
Hmm.
and definitely better than this girl. I
Okay.
do like this is so big. I
Yeah.
do like this book for this story, and
Hmm.
actually, I think her problem is world building, and it's because she has so much of it. Not to go on like a crazy tangent, um, I think that the lore can be really interesting. I've also heard so much good things about this book. This is I need to stop doing that. When the Moon Hat by Sarah A. Parker. So I've heard so much about it, and people are talking about it. You were like, hell yeah,
I
and I
loved
have
it.
a feeling it's for the plot and the things that are gonna happen and the story. Like the characters and stuff. But yeah, so her problem is actually with the way that she world builds.
You think so?
I well, at least for my preference, I
Hmm.
think that when you walk into a room, you don't not need to always describe it. When you talk to a character, you shouldn't just describe them first. You can the natural thing to do is like you see a character, you describe them a couple things, and then you get into the conversation. And I also think that she has really cool, interesting ideas and lore, and the dragons in the sky and the rocks is really cool. But I think she also it's like she wanted to have such a deep world building that she started changing things like the word for night. And I think that that's when it starts to get distracting. Like when you say things like she calls night slumber, and I'm
Oh
like, okay,
yeah.
that's just a thesaurus. Like you just did thesaurus world building, which is not really and it's
Oh,
one thing
I
to have
see.
it called an aurora cycle. It's another to like just call it a day, and you just know that the day is when the aurora shifts. Like
Yeah.
there's something distracting about changing day to DAE instead of DAY, and you want
Got
your
it.
readers to be immersed. And I personally think these are kind of like I would call them like rookie mistakes.
Yeah, they're like
They're easy fixes, but
well,
they're
and
just
it's the, not the trying too hard of it, but it's the like kind of it's nerding out on your own lore just a smidge
Yeah.
too hard, where you take it to a place where you're like, just call it what it is and describe it, and
Yeah.
that's great, and we'll know that, like, night is purple, or the way that the sun does is because of this ribbon thing or whatever.
Yeah.
um
And I'm just like, I'm a stickler on, you want your reader to be immersed. And immersion comes from being able to be fully in. So if you have your person thinking, what's a slumber? Oh, you just saying the word night.
yeah,
It's gonna be a little distracting. So that's something I would never change. Now, if you have a good lore reason, like you must call this something else, but she didn't call it a, some gods, blah blah blah, and that's why we call it this patch. It's not like
yeah.
it's just they're just calling it something different. So there's no
Mhm.
reason for a change, and that's why I think it's like, personally, I would never do it. But you could have it called,
Yeah,
you could have a day cycle called something else. But to me, you just plugged in thesaurus words, and that's a big. It's a distraction, so it pulled you out
okay.
constantly. At least for me. But I do think Rave is a really interesting character. I just got to the part where she's taken by Rex. Just his
Uh-huh.
name. Anyway, that guy.
Yep.
And so we've seen the other chapter, which that seems really
Yeah.
interesting. And like there's a lot of things in motion with that kid and the egg
Yep.
and stuff. So I think people like this book, I'm gonna guess, based on the lore. And I can see why some people
You
have hated on it because of the writing,
are
but I
you
can
getting
totally
are
get
you
past that.
have you gotten to any, like,
Her
historical
friend
flash?
just died.
Yeah, but you haven't gotten to any, like, chapters that are from somebody else's POV, right?
One from
Okay.
that.
It's like a journal entry?
No, I got those, a bunch of those.
Okay.
There are like four of those.
Okay.
And then there's the
I
one
couldn't remember how
that's
soon the journal entry chapters started.
they start pretty soon.
Yeah.
I'm on page 150, so I'm pretty
Mhm.
deep-ish into it.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, no, I think the world is really cool, and like a lot of the gods and like the god of the empty space, that's sick as
Yeah.
hell.
Yeah.
Um, so I have a feeling it's gonna get good, but it's to me, I just go, these are mistakes that
There
just seem
was
unnecessary, but it's okay.
I do remember, like, maybe the first 100 pages being like, okay, this is a lot of information to
Oh, and
kinda.
she does do some information dumping too, which that's an obvious
Yeah.
thing I always criticize.
Yeah, and I was like,
Um,
this is a lot to kind of, like, try to clock back here so that I know what's going on. It gets a
well,
whole
and
lot
because you
easier.
don't need to know all that to know what's going on. You can get the
Yeah.
gist without
Yeah.
having to fully
Yeah.
say the backstory of something,
Mhm.
you know?
Um, Again, I read it on the heels of.
No, I'm sure you're
Yeah. So, like, it
yeah.
was kind of like it's like having, I don't I'm like, it's like having, like, crappy coffee, or it's like having a Starbucks right now. I
Uh-huh.
love a Starbucks. It's like having Starbucks after you've had, like, black drip
Yeah.
coffee, right? Where, like, black drip coffee is fine. That's what you're into. Fine, fine, fine. But then
Mhm.
you go to Starbucks and you're like, here we are. This is
Yeah.
delicious, amazing. It's the best coffee in the world. And, like, in reality, it's not. Um, and
Well, and
so,
you have different priorities. I prioritize, like, honestly, for myself, I really prioritize immersion. What I
mhm,
want is to not be able to put the book down,
yeah,
and to not be distracted by little silly things.
yeah.
Um,
I
and
blow right
yeah,
over the little silly things because I want the people. I'm, like, right
yes.
in their
So
characters. I'm like, who are these people? What are they after? What are their
yeah,
things? And, like, what's the yeah, yeah, yeah.
and people like, there's a big discourse on book talk as well about like vibes reading versus reading like the classics or perfect literature, and there's
Yeah.
always these haters being like, romantasy is terrible, it's bringing down the genre because they have all these problems with it. So I'm also not like one of those people
Romantasy
by
is
any
not new.
means. um
Romantasy is not a new genre.
I mean,
We
it's
might
new that
have
it's
we
so popular, but
okay.
yes,
Yep, we might have it might be new
in
popular
the
wise. It might
zeitgeist.
have be new with the terms that we use for it.
Yeah.
Um it might even be new with the ways in which it's manifesting in this
Hmm.
particular moment. Absolutely. But that's going to be true of anything that is created. It's going to
Yeah.
reflect the time in which that is created. So fuck off.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
two, it's not new. And that's fine if you don't like it. You don't have
Yeah.
to like it. You don't even have to think that it's highbrow. That's fine too. But you
Mhm.
do have to understand that there is a space within the genre where it's not just smut and bullshit
Yeah.
writing, because it's not. And a number
People
of
doing
things
that
that
are
we
just being
read.
dismissive. It's still
Well,
silly.
yeah, and, like, and don't get me wrong, there are books that are, like, pretty plot light,
And mostly smut.
and mostly smut, and that has a place
Yeah,
too. Don't get me
yeah.
wrong, but like,
It's just silly for that to be a criticism. I'm like, first of all, if yeah,
but yeah, I honestly,
yeah.
I do think that it has a little bit of, I hear that criticism in a man's voice.
Yeah, or just, I think academics do it too because they just go, I'm from this community who
Yeah,
would probably
absolutely.
hate on romantasy,
Mhm.
and it's not that they would hate on romantasy. It's just that in a world where I'm never gonna be a poet,
Yeah,
like I wanted to. Like I
yeah,
know I never knew that, I never thought that was possible. But the reason that I can't is because oversaturation and like you're not. It's hard to make any money doing anything like that. So I think a lot of people in the academic and like those spaces are pissed kind of at the state of things, and so anything
yeah,
that brings it down, they're like, screw you guys. But
yeah.
I think that romantasy is doing so much more good for the reading
Here,
community than anything else, and I think they will help those people
yeah,
because if people are reading, maybe they start with ACOTAR, but then they go on to other books and they crave
yeah.
more and more, and then they become a reader, and then they read much like all kinds of books. So I
And
think
then
you
they
can't ever
start,
bash people who
well,
are reading.
and I think it absolutely is it's sort of a gateway to the classics, right?
Totally.
You want to know about, like, where did certain tropes start, you go to the classics, right?
Yeah,
You're like, okay, I like enemies to lovers. Where did that start?
where
Shakespeare.
did that start?
It started with Shakespeare and
Is
Jane
that
Austen. It's where it
is that?
started.
I mean, surely it's been before that though. Like, is it?
Those are the two
That's what people
that,
cite.
in
Okay.
my last few days of extensive deep dive research into the trope,
Okay.
those are the two that were named the most. So
Okay. As the
It was
birthplaces.
Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice,
Okay.
and it was The Taming of the Shrew by
Mm.
William Shakespeare. Those are the two that are like the classic enemies to lovers. Sure. Or does the trope exist? Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Um
But maybe, yeah, that's what maybe made it popular and, like, made it,
yeah,
like, a thing. It's
but
interesting.
yeah, and so The Taming of the Shrew, I mean, we're like just getting into trope now, but I could
Mhm.
stop there. But like, that's one way. I'll hold off until we actually talk about the enemies
Yeah.
to lovers trope. But that's one way that people can get into it, right? You find something that is intriguing. Reading is supposed to be entertaining, and
Yeah.
as a teacher, right, for my very tiny moment of teaching adolescents, not really, I taught them for a number of years, but like, right, for my moments of teaching adolescents, and even all the way to like my tenure at a university, I was like, I don't care what you read, but you need to read
Yeah, and people are not reading.
15 minutes a day. Put your
Yeah.
eyeballs on a page. I don't care. I don't care what it is. I don't care where it's at. I don't care if it's on your phone or on a Kindle or in a book or on a newspaper or whatever, but for 15 minutes a day, read.
Mhm.
And yeah, it, because it's so good for the brain, and because then it
Mhm.
opens your world up, right? Yeah, sure. Okay, maybe I'm reading fucking Fourth Wing. Cool. And then Fourth Wing takes me to ACOTAR, and ACOTAR takes me to the the When the Moon Hatched, and then you're like, oh shit, I
Mhm.
really like dragons. Okay, well, I heard that Game of Thrones has dragons, so then you go to Martin, right? And then you hear, oh
Mhm.
well, Martin got all of his shit from Tolkien. You head on over to
Mhm.
Tolkien, and Tolkien is like two stops away from every single thing else.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, within the matter of, a couple of spaces, you're over here reading Dante and being a fucking contrarian like the
Yeah.
rest of
And
us.
I'm not a canon upholder, like, by any means either, so, but you can read good literature. There's pieces of good literature, there like,
This,
many writers can do good literature, you know?
and we've talked about, like, people think that Tolkien is good literature. It's fantasy, it's high
Mhm.
fantasy world building.
Yeah,
That
it's in a
exists.
genre.
This exists in this place too, but it's
Mhm.
not from a male voice, and there's romance, and there happens to be descriptions of clitorises. Get over it. Like, get over it.
Yeah,
You want to know
yeah.
where it's at? Open up a romantasy book, and I'll give you directions, sir.
Yeah, seriously, that's
But I
funny.
just like, and but I think
Yeah.
that that's part of it. I think romantasy is living in a space where it's just taking its turn with the, like, predominantly female literary voices,
Mhm.
and the fact that, like, it's a little bit it's a little bit on the like woke-ish side of things,
Mm.
right? There's lots of
Yeah.
trauma discussions and how to heal and things, right? And like
It's
that's
crazy
not
that that's
all.
considered woke.
And I also think that people just want to hate on things that are popular.
It's yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's the baseline. They're like, I don't read that because the hype is never. You're like, whatever, it's fine. The word is
Yeah.
contrarian, and that's fine. If that's who you
Mhm.
are, lean into it. Be
Yeah.
the most contrarian you can find. Live your life, babe.
Yeah. I'm just happy that people are reading. Oh, okay. On that, sorry, not to rant about When the Moon Hatched. I do, like I said, I do think the lore is really good. The world is, a lot of things are really interesting about it. I just think the writing alone is going to be almost for sure 2 or 3 out of 5. But the world building, the plot, and the story could be
Really?
much better. I'm I'm a stickler about it. I would give Rebecca Yarros a half a star.
Book. I'm so worried that you're gonna read my stuff. I was gonna send you
No,
a
no,
chapter and
no,
be
no, no.
like, send me some stuff, but it's not
But
published. It's I get it, and
yeah,
you,
well, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
also it's like two. Okay, sorry, out of 5. It's not 2 out of 10.
Okay,
But
yeah,
like
yeah,
2 or 3 is like in terms of world building. Like, but maybe the story is great. And that can make up
got
for
it.
it, and that can also make you forget about how all the little weird things. Because sometimes you just
Yeah,
need to settle into a book, and there's like 700 more pages.
it's
So
true. That's
I'm
true.
gonna report back once I
She
do
does have
that.
some room for us to. There's wiggle
Yeah.
room in that book to get comfy. Yeah,
Yeah, and if anything, I'm just yeah, I would say Rebecca Yarros is a much worse writer than this girl. Not to be a hater. I am not trying to be a hater. I still read all those books and thought they were interesting
mhm,
story wise. I think they're really
yeah,
interesting,
yeah,
especially for what we're like our theme today of enemies to lovers.
yeah.
Um,
Maybe I
uh,
do vibe read. Maybe I vibe read a little bit
and that's
much.
fine. And also, like, just because you're a film critic doesn't mean you can't. This is my classic
Yeah,
example. Just because you're a film critic doesn't mean you can't watch a fucking Marvel movie. Get over yourself,
yeah,
And so
yeah,
I'm watching a Marvel movie and I'm having a fun time. Okay,
yeah.
even if I don't think that, I sit in action movies and I go, you would have rolled that ankle, buddy. You're dead. You
Yeah.
would have died from that fall. There's no way you like. There's no fun. Okay, that's vibes.
I I always like to find the word because there's always a word. There's always a word that like an author just kind of leans into just a
No.
little too much in a book.
Uh-huh.
And I always that's what I'm gonna start doing. I have a reading log because I'm a fucking nerd. And so it's a journal and each one has its own little thing. And I'm gonna make
Oh,
its own little section that's like this book's word every time.
yeah.
And I'm like, because it's
Because we always joke about Rebecca Yarros and desiccation, huh?
desiccation and subluxation, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's subluxated, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Moras is Broadbent's favorite word in
I have not read that word. I
the
don't know that word.
children's one. You will, yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Oh, it's in the other one. In the other one.
it's the
Okay,
other one is
I'm
her
gonna read those soon.
favorite. In the gold plated prisoner series, it's cerulean blue. It's a very specific blue, and it's everywhere. It's
Oh yeah,
fucking
you were telling me about that.
anything that's blue, cerulean. I'm like, that's not no,
That's not how
that's
that
not
works.
that's not the color of the ocean, ma'am. I don't care about your world building. That's not the color of the ocean. But yeah, I'm telling you,
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
there.
No, we should have that.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
should track them.
I
And
haven't quite figured out. There's not a specific word that I've picked up on ACOTAR yet. It's such a huge series, anyways. But watery
it's watery
bowels.
bowels,
It's watery.
which is well known.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, it's watery bowels. All right, cool, cool. All right, let's hear about this book. You started it. I have not started it.
Let's hear how I'm gonna lecture you. I'm just kidding. You need to go buy. Did you buy it? Have you
It
got it
is
yet?
on Kindle Unlimited,
Okay.
and so it
Perfect.
is downloaded on my Kindle, and it will be the first thing that I read when
Are
I
you
finish.
reading? You're finishing Daughter of No Worlds.
Yeah,
Children
Children
of.
of. So I finished Daughter of No Worlds. Finished that. That's the first one. The second one is Children of Fallen Gods. I finished that one, and now I'm in the third one of that series that I
And then
cannot.
you're reading this after.
And then I'm reading that after.
Okay. Okay. So do you think you'll read it by next week or no? It's okay. You don't have to. But I'm down to
Maybe.
talk about it. I have theories
Oh,
cooking.
Mother of Death and Dawn is the third book in that one, and then literally it's. I know you can't see it, and then it's
That's awesome.
The Fallen and the A Kiss of Dusk.
I
I'm
know,
so
it's
fucking stoked though for it because
dude, because
I
I didn't
like
watch it since I finished the last one,
well, and
which
so
is a
I
crazy ending.
well, and I remember like overall, like out of 5, I probably would give Serpent and the Wings of Night and its companion book like a 3.5. 3.5,
Really?
4. I don't, like for all like just overall read, 3.5, 4. I liked it. I was here for it. I was into it. They caught me, but I was not like, oh, these like I'm like, great, cool,
Mm.
Raiden's
Oh,
great,
in
and the
terms
other
of romance?
just no, just if I was just gonna give it like a quick overall, how much I enjoyed it, how much I'd come back to it, how much I like swoon or whatever over it. Yeah, it's a 3.5 out of 4 out of, like cool. I liked the book. The the third one, 5. It's a fucking 5. I love it. I love her. I love her. I did not expect it. I expected to come in and be like, I really
Yeah,
wasn't
that's how I felt too.
because I was like, I like Misha. She fine. It's okay. Whatever. I'm
Yeah.
here for it. Let's
Hmm.
get into it. And then it was like, she's like kind of kept hitting with like more and more. And I was like, okay. And then you meet my sweet baby Asar, and I was hooked. I was done. I was in it. And you're in the
Oh.
underworld. Come on, I'm a happy girl. Trials in the underworld. Fucking take me.
Oh, okay, okay. No, okay, so I would say maybe I'm trying to think. Yeah, even the novella was like perfectly paced. I think that's what it is. It's Her pacing is
Yeah.
incredible, and
Yes.
she doesn't overworld build.
Fair.
Now this book, I'm excited to talk about with you because I have this theory with this trope, with this the enemies to lovers trope. I can't even say one word because I refuse to give any hints or spoilers, and I don't even want your wheels to turn.
Because they're not enemies. I don't even think that Misha and Ace are enemies.
I don't think so either.
I
Um,
did not get an enemies to lover. I got a reluctant,
just like
like,
strangers to
well,
lovers.
like, and he's like, uh, I have a goal, you have a goal. Let's just get this goal done, and then you can be on your fucking way, and I'll be on my way, and yeah,
To be fair, it's not about them being enemies, actually. It's not about that. Um, should we jump into the enemies to lovers discussion?
yes, yes.
No. What'd you read? What'd you read? We were to talk about what you read.
Oh, um, I read a bit of the third book, so the
Oh,
uh
the
Mother of Death and something and Dawn, Mother of
okay.
Death and Dawn. She I really so the remember I said I was like sort of at like a high a big turning point in the second book, and I had
Mhm.
taken like probably like a week off of reading,
Because you were
um
like, I need to enter.
DIYing
Yep.
my fucking house and ADHDing fucking against the wall and shit.
Mhm.
And when I got back into it, it was immediate like into it. I was like, "Oh, hell yeah. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go."
Mhm. Okay.
And there were things that turned out in ways that I was like, "Yep, I saw that one coming. Okay, okay."
And then
But there
some
were
things that you
definitely
were like, what the fuck?
so there weren't any like super it's not. Yes.
Mm.
It was yes and no. Like
But not as shocking.
it was a what the fuck, but not in a way that's like, well, that's fucking out of left field. It was
Mm.
perfectly buttoned
Yes.
in a way that was like every single thing had like when the characters like I don't know how I got here, but somehow I know that all of these things that I've done has led me to this place, and that's
Mhm.
bullshit. I was like, you're right, sir. It is bullshit because it is
Yeah.
what it is. And yeah, and it has turned into something. I mean, now there's a Fey element that wasn't
Mm.
quite the same Fey element as before, and I am a fucking sucker for some fairies, so I'm here for it.
Okay.
And one of the characters, their sort of reveal, I guess, I was like, okay, like it was one of the things where I was like, yes, that makes sense, but how does that make sense? And then when it worked it out, I was like, it was satisfying because there was enough there for me to be like, yeah, of course that's who that is, but how the
Yeah.
fuck is that who that is? And
Mhm.
so like getting that story, I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
Like, that's fucked up, but okay. Um,
Yeah. One
and
of
now,
the people I watch on TikTok, she talks about it like this, and I think this is just a great way to put it. It's like, her name's Gina Denny, and she does, like, she talks about, like, publishing and traditional publishing. She works in publishing, and she's
Mhm.
also a writer. So she talks, like, craft like this. Um, watch all her TikToks, but don't watch them until you're done with your
Yep.
draft, okay? But she talks about the best one of her, like, ways of putting it as how to satisfy, um, a reader is you want them to, when they get to the twist, to go, "I should have seen that coming," or to immediately think back to everything, and it suddenly goes, "Oh, I could have put all this together, but I
Yeah.
didn't." You know?
Yeah.
So, like, the pieces are all there, but, like,
Mhm.
you didn't put them together,
I also,
and then it's the best.
there's a third one that I like where I go, I fucking knew it. That one,
Oh,
but when it's a satisfying, not like,
not like,
yeah,
"Oh, it's exactly how I imagined." Just like,
yeah,
"I
where you're
knew it,
like,
but this is when I thought it would
yes.
happen." Yes,
You're like,
yes.
oh fuck yes, I knew that this was gonna happen. Like when you finally get to see it unfold, like yes, as opposed to being like, yeah, of course she's the fucking princess,
Yes.
you know.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. So it
That's
definitely
awesome.
had one of those like, yeah, I saw that kind of coming. And I think I read I feel like I read for clues. I don't necessarily read for
Same.
writing styles, but I am such a fucking little sleuther.
Yeah,
Um
that's it's like a
and
puzzle.
yeah, and so
Mhm.
I'm here, I'm like, page 1, what's the foreshadows? Where are they? Where are they? Where are they? And
I
so
know,
like
I
it's
always look at the page 1, I'm like, "This happened on page 1, it's gonna come back." Yeah.
and so I'm always like, there's a part of me that even when the twists happen, I'm usually in a space that's like, okay, okay. But then there's some where I'm just like, what? And there's been a couple of those, like when characters die out of nowhere, but it's still meaningful. Like those are the ones that I'm like, are you, what? There is a moment, I will tell you, there have been, I'm going to start keeping account of books that have made me cry.
Oh, I
This,
cry all the time. Over
this
anything.
series made me cry.
Okay.
There's a moment in this that you get, like you finally get a reveal, you get a backstory. I mean, it's exposition, but it's in a flashback situation. Like it makes
Fine.
sense for the
Yeah.
story. It's beautiful, whatever. And you're just, you know, but you're like, no, she would never. And then and you're like, are you gonna do this right now? This is happening. And then you keep going, you're like, no, you're not gonna do it. She's not gonna do it. It's not gonna happen. And then she fucking does it full fucking throttle, and you're what?
Like,
Like I literally, I'm in
dang.
the living room, 1 o'clock in the morning, crying by myself, and I'm just like staring at the wall, like she fucking did it. She
Staring at that,
that's
yeah.
that's what happened. Okay,
That's the mark of a good book, as the
yeah.
book chapters say, staring at the wall. Uh,
Yeah. So yeah, so she Chef's Kiss, I love her. And so like
okay.
maybe I do need to go back and read Serpent. I'm not
I
going to
mean,
before the
there's
fourth
so
one.
much to read, but yeah. Yeah.
There's too many things to read to go back.
Mhm. But I could go back and reread those there
But
because they're quick.
I picked up the third book, so the Mother of Death and Dawn,
Mhm.
and immediately I'm just like in it. And here's the thing: there is a thing that's happening in this one that is typical of series. There's
Mhm.
a moment of some separation happening, right?
Right? Mhm.
That is pretty typical, right? You got your peoples, and then all of a sudden everyone gets fucking dispelled to different corners of the universe, kind of shit. That's not
Yep.
exactly, but whatever. And that
Yeah,
I'm
it's a common
always
thing.
like, when do we just get back together? When do we get over this bullshit? Like every time. That's why I'm so
Mhm.
glad that I tandem read with Throne of Glass, because if I had to read that entire fucking book knowing that Aelin and Rowan were just in
Yeah.
fucking separate spheres, which I get, she's been months in the book and the things and all whatever, but like
Mhm.
I'm like, come on, let's go. And so I'm
Sure.
usually really anxious and really impatient for just like, let's just get this ball rolling. Let's get back. Everybody's fucking traumatized. Everybody's in their own corner. Everybody's trying to get back together. Everybody's sad about it. Blah, 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 blah. Let's go. That's
Mhm.
not how I feel about this. I'm like, okay, do your thing. Do your shit. Get your shit. Do what you gotta
Interesting.
do. What you gotta
Okay.
do.
I'm gonna read those
I,
books next, I
I'm like, I
think.
can wait. I can
Yeah.
wait. It's fine. Do what you gotta do.
I mean, maybe I should take a Broadbent break. But I guess I'll read
Never.
Moonhatch. I'll finish that. But I'm
Yeah.
like, maybe I'll read those books next, even though I have a bunch of books in my house. But um, okay, now we can jump. Okay, so
So, enemies to lovers. So, from my research, now I have not read these two because I have a huge TBR, and it is what it
mhm,
is. So,
it's okay.
William Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew. If you have seen 10 Things I Hate About You, that is the
Mm,
story. Um,
okay,
so you have two sisters, and the younger sister cannot get married before the older sister, but she has a love interest. And so, in an attempt to get her married off to who she wants to be married to, they hire this like sort of I don't know, just kind of bottom of the barrel, slyly criminal, kind of raggedy dude
mhm,
to woo the older sister, Catherine. And yeah, and she fucking hates him because she doesn't want to be married, and he's like, I'm just being paid to do this, and this is whatever. And then of course they fall for each other. So in the movie version, you
mhm,
have
very much
um
there.
Heath Ledger, which is easy
That was one of
fucking,
my OG favorite Heath
yeah,
Ledger
like you
movies.
okay, hire away. Right, so Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles play Catherine and the other dude, and then Bianca is played by
Yeah,
the
okay.
girl who plays
I
Alex
can see her
Mack.
face right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt
Mhm.
is is that love interest, and there's a bunch of other things. But right, so they can't go to she can't date. The dad's all crazy, and is like, my daughters aren't gonna get pregnant, and she can't date Bianca can't date until Kat can date. And so
Yeah.
they hire Heath Ledger's character to take her out on a date so that Bianca can go and date and do the things and whatever else.
Mhm.
Um and yeah, and they start out as like, go fuck yourself, no thank you. And then it's a 90-minute movie, so by the end they're all in love, and then people play drums on the roof of a school that's actually about 25 minutes that way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Yeah. I always whenever I think of the movie, I just think of the poem scene.
yeah.
In the yeah, it's very dramatic in hindsight. Like, can you imagine doing that in your high school class? But
But yes, so that is one of the original, not the film, but the William Shakespeare version.
mhm.
And then the other one that was cited a lot as being an original enemies to lover was Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, which I have not read, nor have I seen any films for.
I haven't
But
either. We will
but
read it on this podcast.
I do know that there is a man named Mr. Darcy who she is not a big fan of, and apparently maybe becomes a big fan of. That's where I'm at.
Yes.
I do
Yeah,
know that people fucking adore Jane Austen. I know it is one of the
I
most
know.
beloved
Of
books
course.
in all of
We'd be
fucking
flayed for not
literature.
having read it.
Oh yeah, for
Don't
sure.
tell anyone, except we're gonna post this episode.
Absolutely. So that is yeah, that's my knowledge of the OGs.
Mhm.
And when it comes to romantasy, it's slightly different. And I don't know, I think we were going to talk about sort of three examples, right?
Well, okay. To be fair, you've read so much more than I have in this genre. I've really only read ACOTAR Fourth Wing and the Serpent books.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but those are like the big those. I mean, Serpent's kind of off the beaten path a little bit, but it's still a
Mm-hmm.
fairly popular one. But
Mm-hmm.
ACOTAR and Fourth Wing are the ones that you would, you know,
Yeah.
most people have
One
read
that
those.
there's actually, it's some really good enemies to lover, and I'm never gonna not shout this book series out. I've talked about it 4 billion fucking times. But it is LJ Andrews, it is the Broken Kingdom series, it is
Oh
the
yeah.
prequel series to the Ever Seas and the Ever King and all the things that are all big and huge and beautiful right now. But it's the original 9 books.
Okay.
And right, 4 kingdoms, 9 books, all the things. They have they have two really good enemies to lovers in those
Interesting.
books. One that I think is definitely a much more like a really really good enemies to lover, with the character Ari and Saga. But the first three of the books kind of starts out this enemies. It's a weird space. It's like,
Mhm.
I'm attracted to you. Oh shit. Maybe we shouldn't be. Maybe we should. I kind of want to punch you in the face. but I also kind of dig you. It's this like weird sort of in out sort of situation because of this muddling of who a character is.
Yeah.
Um, and then even the Everseas is considered an enemies to
I
lover
feel like
story.
everything just becomes enemies to lovers a little bit, but yeah, I mean, those on
But
my list
but
because you
but
talked about them a lot
but
too.
let me just for 2 seconds. So the four stories, the four kingdoms in this story, they each follow a different kingdom and kind of a different couple.
Mhm.
And I love the first three couple, right? The second couple, I'm like, that could have been 2 books for me.
Oh
It's
yeah,
fine,
yeah.
but I think I was going through some shit and I was like, the pacing was a little like
I remember you reading these.
yeah, yeah. So it's 3, 3, 2, and 1 is how it goes. So the Northern Kingdom has 3 books, the Eastern Kingdom has 3 books, and then you get into the Western Kingdom, which is a 2 book, and then the last book is in the South. And
Mhm.
I think that the 2 middle ones should have been switched because I think that the Eastern Kingdom could have been told and wrapped up in 2 books, and I wanted so much more Ari and Saga, but that's because I'm a big old fucking hoochie mama for Ari.
Okay.
But yeah, they start as enemies to lovers. Super reluctant. He's like forced to be her guardian, not marry, but like be her guardian. He's
Mhm.
like, that she works for you. You got to take her into your household. Fucking deal with it. And he's like, I don't want her in my space. And she's like, I don't want to be in your space either. And they're like, well, the king said so. Fuck yourself. And they truly do not want to be in the same space.
Yeah.
Um, but the way that it manifests and just like her expectations of him and the fact that he doesn't fucking abuse her basically, and like what she's expecting of just like this, like of men in general, and him being
Mhm.
like, here's your rules and like just don't break them so I don't have to deal with you, okay? Because like that's what we do here, okay? And she's
Yeah.
just like, I'm expecting him to like try to take advantage, I'm expecting him to do these things, and like he really just kind of leaves me alone.
Yeah.
But then then they have to go do a thing together, and then proximity.
Mhm. Yeah.
um but I adore
Okay.
them. And the fourth book in the Everseas series follows their daughter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're talking about the
So,
kids.
well,
Yeah.
but so the original, so the first book, the first 2 books follows Northern Kingdom. So, like trilogy 1, follow that daughter is the beginning of Everseas,
Mhm.
and then the Eastern King, his son, gets the next one. And then the third one, Ari and Saga, their daughter is now being. So it's like the path follows the same kind of order that you're introduced to their parents, you get introduced to them.
Mhm. Mhm.
Anyways,
Okay.
chef's kiss,
Cool.
and I fucking love them. But they have a good enemies to lover. It was a really long-winded way to say that that's a book that has some enemies to lover stuff that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Um,
But probably I think because a lot of people have read the Ever King without the Broken Kingdom, right? So probably even less people have read
yes.
those, right?
Yes, and it seems much more out of nowhere because like in the Everseas, and she's put this on her TikTok, so it's part of the things that she's willing to let her authors or her readers sort of know beforehand. But she's like, when you're at your dad's ball and you get kidnapped, and then you find out that the person who kidnapped you is this thing,
Mhm.
that when you go into it having read this. And it's supposed to be kind of a shocking moment a little bit, but I thought it was so much more beautiful to
Knowing the
know
backstory.
and then watching her realize the story, because you're like, that's the kid, that's
Interesting.
this who this is. And so when it dawns on her, you're like, fuck yeah, bitch, now you get it, now you're here, now we're together, now we get it. As opposed to just being like, what, she used to read to him. You're like, no, because I actually watched in that series that whole scene actually play out in all of its honesty and from a different perspective and all the stuff that went with it. So then when you finally see them in the same room again, you're like, fuck yeah, I'm here for this. So
That's cool.
yeah. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I adore her, and I love her writing. And she She's the fucking Hamilton of romantasy. And like, how do you write like you're running out of time? She just doesn't stop. Everything she's just on and on and on. She's like, this new one has this like 100 extra pages of fucking side quest stories. Her
Some
her
people are just, I can't.
her I was telling you about her web page, right? Every book
Oh
has
yeah.
like added like bonus chapters that are just like on and on and on. I'm like, what do you do with yourself, my man? You're like literally attached. It's
Someone
like
without ADHD.
oh god. Is that what it would look like if I didn't have ADHD? I'd be so fucking productive. I need
No.
Adderall. Just
He probably just, like, doesn't have a dopamine addiction, doesn't, like, go on TikTok
yeah.
constantly, you know? Yeah, she's definitely gonna be on my list.
She's good.
Yeah. But yeah, so, I mean, I thought, I mean, again, I chose, we talked about these 3 books because they're the only really romanticies that I've read, but also they're like very popular. Um, and so okay, so I didn't do research, but I thought about what makes enemies to lovers interesting and not interesting. So I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there in terms of like, okay, how do we think about categorizing them or considering them? Um, and I think this is a big part of what makes enemies to lovers interesting is if they're enemies status is because of external factors or internal factors. And so external, I don't know if you have a better word for this, but I'm loosely thinking of it as things that are outside of their direct action or direct control that make them enemies, like their bloodline, what their parents did, where they live,
Yeah.
whatever. Things that are not
Xaden is
them.
enemies with Violet because he doesn't like her mom.
Exactly. So it's not because Violet pissed him off. It's because,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm calling external, and internal is anything like, oh, you betrayed me. You
Yeah.
did this to me. Or it's just something more direct. Oftentimes, sometimes you have the back and forth, like they were lovers and then they became enemies. That's often
Mhm.
because of internal. I'm
Yeah.
just calling it external and internal. But I
I
think
dig
it's
it.
really interesting because, like, Reese is kind of both.
He is kind of
Uh
both.
because he actually does things that are fucked up, especially once you don't know him well. His perceived actions are very much internal. You're my enemy,
Yep.
but he's also externally the enemy because he's from the Night Court. And
Mhm.
then Zayden is it's because of his parents.
Well,
And
he wouldn't be no one would be in that situation if it wasn't for Amarantha. So like the Amarantha
yeah,
is setting the stage for who are allies and who are not
she's a
allies
big
based on
external
yeah.
force. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then so but Zayden, I feel like the only thing that really made them enemies was that
His tattoos.
his parents, and I
Yeah.
guess he's kind of a dick sometimes, but that's he really isn't that much of a dick.
He's
Uh,
not. He's
and
not that much
that's
of a dick, and he has a huge responsibility on his shoulders,
yeah.
and and he
He's
still
too
believes
likable for an enemy, I think. I think it would have been better as just not
that's
enemies to
fair.
lovers.
Yeah.
All you had to do was just make him an unknown or mysterious character or someone with a lot of shame or someone who does something bad. Like there's so
Yeah.
many more ways to create tension that
He
this is one of my
is
big critiques of Yaros
he
actually is
is
that there's a bad use of enemies to
wholly
lovers.
wholly honorable character. That
Yes.
even the things that he does that is quote unquote morally gray are
For a
not
good
really
reason.
they're
Yeah.
not really morally gray because it's a higher ground. And he's self-sacrificing, and he loves the main character even above himself, and
Yeah.
he's willing to and that's lovely. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But it's not but there's no selfishness in the character. There's nothing
Yeah.
like he only has redeeming qualities. He needs a couple of unredeeming qualities.
I think his, trading the world for Violet, like that sort of as a flaw. It's kind of like saying, "Oh, you're in a job interview. What's your worst quality? I'm such a hard worker."
But that's the thing. It's in
It's
the
kind of like that.
context of romantasy, that's why we love him.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's really like for the reader, it's not a flaw.
It's not a
For
flaw.
that world, it's a flaw,
Yeah.
but it's
But
not
and
a
that's
flaw
kind of
for
his
us.
only real flaw.
We need more flaws. The reader
Yeah.
needs the flaws. The reader needs to see the
Or he
bullshit.
could have had more like, if she really wanted to make them enemies, she could have just had him, running with people who were doing fucked shit, but all his
Mhm.
friends are good too.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
there's just not enough tension, or at least put them in some circumstances where like there's no way he has to pick Violet. They can't know each other yet. They can't do this. He thinks she's cute, but like whatever. And just
Yeah.
the tension was just not there at all
Yeah.
because they just well, because of my next sort of point is insta love versus not.
Yeah.
Although before, so with Serpent, Rain and Araya, spoiler warning for Serpent. are very much external because secretly, Araya not knowing that their bloodlines, like she
Yeah.
doesn't know her bloodline yet, but we know. But Araya, that's just the bloodlines thing, and then he's hiding his, and we know that, right? And then also the external enemy because they're actually in the Kajari together, and only one person can win. So that's just
Mhm.
like the baseline one. But then also internal because Rain actually does kill his first.
Yes, but the
So
enemies
that's a thing he does
so
wrong.
yes, but I also feel like that's the one that becomes this, like,
The second book enemy.
the second
Yeah.
book is enemies to lovers, where the
Yeah.
first book is like reluctant partnership with attraction, with falling, and then the betrayal, which leads to and so it's a complicated, it's not a true, like, they start out as enemies, they fucking hate each other, they hate bang, and now they love each other. Like, that's not what happens. It's
Okay.
sort of
I was thinking actually it was because she the whole time was mentally preparing to kill him. And so that's
oh,
what makes it is that she was like, I gotta do this. I gotta muster up the strength. I'm just, that's
yeah,
why, because that was her decision to
mhm,
like, that's what kept a lot of that tension there was like, I have to do this. I have to,
yes,
the whole reason I joined this is to do this thing. So I am going to have to kill him.
yeah.
That's actually what kept, that's what I thought was the main thing
Okay,
that kept
that's what kept him in an enemy space, or
Mhm.
adversarial space. So
Yeah,
or
even
yeah,
though
like a
it's the
yeah,
tension that you like
there is
that
a
come
tension.
like, yeah, I think enemies to lovers is really just about the tension of like opposition. So
Yeah,
yeah, maybe people can be
yeah,
friendly. And so my next thing that I noticed is like the presence of insta love. That seems like a big feature of enemies to lovers because and now I don't love it. I don't love insta love. Like just you
yeah,
see him, you think he's the most beautiful man ever. No offense,
yeah.
ACOTAR. I think like
I
well,
mean,
I'm
there's
also
there's a
someone
reason for that, right? Like that specific
well
line,
in
there's a
ACOTAR
reason. Yeah,
because they're
there's a whole
fated.
yeah, yeah, and
Mhm.
yeah, and there's the like that's a whole that's a trope in and of itself
And I
that
do
we could
think
talk
that
about.
ACOTAR does it in an interesting way, but I just don't love the idea that the only reason we're gonna let this supposed enemy that in because they're hot.
Mhm.
Like I guess now if the characters start out like I'm just gonna use him, I want to just bang him,
Yeah.
and that's it. Like I'm not, it's nothing serious, and then it becomes that's more interesting because then hey, I'm not actually giving up my X, Y, and Z for this person I just
Mhm.
think is hot. You're saying, oh, I'm just gonna casually. Although Violet and Zayden kind of do that a little bit. They are trying to be casual.
That yeah, but, like, that I think is more indicative of Violet and Xaden, where it's just like, "Oh my god, he's gorgeous, and I wanna be in
Hmm.
love with this person, and, oh, she's pretty, and I love her fucking hair, and blah, blah, blah."
Hmm.
But, like, with Reese and Feyre, I don't necessarily think it's that. Yes, does she think he's the most beautiful thing that she's ever seen? Yes, but
Hmm.
I
Oh,
think
but
that
she
it's
doesn't let it cloud her judgment too
she
much.
does not right away,
Yes.
and I think that also I think one of the because, right, like, their connection under the mountain is all survival mode, right?
Yes.
And she at the end of that book, she has a moment where she's like, "I'm not gonna thank him, but
Hmm.
we can agree that, like, that was fucked up, bro, but in the end, you had my back, and I get
Yes.
it." Like, I
Yes.
don't like it, and I'm real fucked up about it because I had to do my own stabby shit, and so, like, I'm just gonna, like, not pass judgment because I just killed innocent people to try to get people out of this, and so, cool, shake hands, let's move on, and, like, if we never see each other again, then fine. I know we
Hmm.
have to because I made this bargain, but, like, in reality, if I don't see
Yeah.
you, that's fine too. Cause yeah, like,
Hmm.
but I think that's the external, right? It's the ickiness of the whole situation,
Yeah.
the
So
sort
some
of
of which was caused
trauma
by
of that.
Reese's actions, but yeah, he also
Sure,
made it a
but
lot better with his actions.
yes, but I
Yeah.
think that, and I think that at the end of the book, she can kind of see why he did what he did, even if she's
Hmm.
like, "Great, that didn't feel great, though. I get it, but that felt real shitty.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of cool on taking a break from you." And
Here's what
then
would have pissed oh, sorry.
and then what actually makes them fall in love is that he is just genuine, but, like,
Mhm.
he's genuine in a way with her that Tamlin is not. He lets her be her again.
Yeah. Well, Tamlin is classic emotional unavailability, and Reese is very much
Yes. And I think it's
there.
just acts of selfless, kindness, just
Mhm.
simple, selfless acts. Come have breakfast with me.
Mhm.
I'm going to teach you how to read. And she's like, fuck you. And he's like, that's fine. But like, I'm going to teach you how to read because like, you literally saved all of Prithian. A human saved all of Prithian. Bitch, learn how to read. Come on. They're like, this is ridiculous. And he doesn't say
Yeah.
it as a way of being like, you're
Me yeah,
lesser
he's not
than or
condescending.
whatever. He's just like,
You
that's
shouldn't have a
ridiculous.
weakness like this, yeah.
Like that's silly. Come on. Like,
Yeah.
you know that's silly. Let's go. And
Now,
instead of putting her in a fucking room full of books and not doing anything for her,
I
and
know.
yeah, and I think that part of the catalyst for them falling for each other is that she's just having a meltdown and she's reaching out for anybody to help her, and he's the one who helps her because he has the connection, right? That the wedding
Wait,
day,
when are
the
okay,
wedding,
okay. No, you're
when
talking
she's
about the
like
wedding scene.
having a full, because he's like, I would have
So
stayed
that's what you
away.
consider the catalyst of when they become not like, when they start to
When she shifts from seeing him as, if I never see you again, my life is okay,
Mhm.
and into a space that says, it's fine, we have a bargain and this is stupid. Thank you for saving me from that nonsense day. Let's not talk about it because I'm not going to address that with you.
Mhm.
But, and it has that like reluctance a little bit there
Mhm.
that mirrors what was going on under the mountain, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Where it's
Yeah.
like a reluctant sort of like, I gotta be here because we made this deal. But also, she doesn't want to admit to herself, I'm really fucking glad that he showed up because I didn't want to get married that day.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I think she wasn't going to either way, but it would have been a very interesting. Yeah, it's a good moment.
It gives her an out because he showed up
Yes,
to be the bad guy.
to be the bad guy. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I will say one thing that would have pissed me off this is like what pissed me off about Fourth Wing. Now, granted, I didn't complain while reading Fourth Wing. I just read it and it was fine. I can read things that I dislike in terms of writing. But if Feyre had been under the mountain and when Reese came to her cell, she's like, and his hair was so whatever and his muscles, that
Yeah.
would have pissed me off, and I would
Yeah.
have it would have ruined things because you can
Yeah.
already see the cracks. Part of the thing, and this goes to spoilers or is saying that a book is enemies to lovers spoilers. If you think in book one that Reese is really a possibility beyond like your personal preferences for like, oh, Tamlin Tamlin doesn't
Yeah.
seem that great. This guy seems awesome. If you really truly think that she's gonna get with him, it's not that you need to
Yeah.
fully think that
Yes.
Tamlin is the one, or at least just like not think that Reese is the one to
Yeah.
buy. You need to fully buy into book one, and that's what makes book two satisfying, which is really interesting. Which is what a part of SJM's greatest strengths is that she retcons book one and suddenly makes it well, she's not
Yeah.
retconning, but like she's
Yeah.
taking saying, hey, all that stuff you are very familiar with, you just read that book. Actually, let's think of it this way, and that is the
Mhm.
magic of Miss and Fury. um, but I think like you cannot be having this insta love stuff. Like if she had talked
Yeah.
about his abs or just physical attraction, no. And that is
Yeah.
what I hated about Fourth Wing is that
Yeah.
there's so much description, and also there's things that make you fall in love with people besides their fucking physical features.
Yeah, you knew they were going to end up together. Now, here's the thing, even with
Yeah,
enemies to lovers, let's be honest, with just the amount of time that people get on pages, you're reading a genre that has a romance,
sure.
you pretty
Yeah.
much know. And so the thing that's exciting for me with enemies to lover is that I'm like, how the fuck is this going to shift because they
Mm,
hate each other? How are we going to get there? And I want to follow along. I want to
that's
fall
funny.
for the person too. I want to get there cuz
Yeah.
like again, when I'm reading Broken Kingdoms, I know that the last two kingdoms that I was at, that's a romantasy. And now you're going to tell me this story follows these two people. Cool. I know they're going to end up together. Book 1,
Mm,
how? How the fuck are you gonna make that happen? Because
yeah.
that's real rough. And then here we are halfway through the book, and I'm like, there it is. Okay, I see.
Yeah,
And like,
I don't like to know that. And that's also part of why I don't seek out necessarily.
well,
I seek out recommendations. So
yeah,
if I see a book that's popular, I'm like, I'll read that. But I
to
don't
be,
want to know that there's
yeah,
even a romance
to
like
be,
that's why I wouldn't love romance in general, like
yeah.
as a genre.
To be fair, I already knew the genre I was reading, and the
Mm,
characters that are in, so Ari and Saga are in the story in other places. So you meet Ari in the first
in the
trilogy.
yeah. Yeah.
You meet Saga in the first trilogy, right? Like
Mhm.
or I think in the second one actually. And so like you meet these people along the way. So by the time you get to zoom in on them, you're like, I mean, he was here and she was there and this was happening. And because it has such a like there's so many anyways, I don't need to talk about it. There's
Okay.
satisfying lots and lots of really beautiful foreshadowing of characters to come. And so I love that
Okay.
about her books that you're like, oh, that was a weird moment or oh, that was really cool. And then you're like, oh shit, that was really cool because now I know what that is. Um
When
but
I read it,
yeah,
I'm just gonna text you all my thoughts as I read them. I am gonna wait a while because now I feel like I know a little too
yeah,
much,
you're gonna be
and
like,
I'm gonna
these
wait
books
to
are
forget.
you're like, Sam, these books are trash. I don't know what you
No,
like
no,
about
no,
them.
no, no. I just want to forget about these character names so that
Yeah,
they can surprise me. Okay, because this is what I do when I read. I just pretend like I'm not reading romantasy, and I never say that. Like when Asa shows up and rescues her, I go, "That doesn't have to be the guy. It's probably the
yeah,
guy." I just delude myself. I just go into like this weird denial, and I go, "This guy could drop at any time, and the real guy could come in." Like I just don't want to know. I sort
yeah,
of live in like a delusional state, because there's plenty of books where yeah your love interest dies in 5 chapters in, like Crescent
yeah,
City has that, right? And so I just kind of don't hold. I know they follow trajectories and I just don't want to. Anything can happen at any time, like
yeah,
um and so yeah, I kind of do. I just get
yeah,
delusional, but that's also why I don't strictly read like romantasy. And I'm not really looking for happy endings. I'm just looking for a good story.
yeah.
And but yeah, I know it's a little delusional. I should
I
like even Carissa Broadbent in her Instagram captions goes, "This is just so and so and so and so's story," and I'm like, "Stop!" But I'm like, "Oh, it's
yeah,
obvious. It's
yeah,
obvious." But like,
yeah.
I just don't. I don't know.
I am not as upset about a as a tease or a trailer or a trope slip or whatever we want to call it. I'm not
Yeah.
as mad about the marketing. Have I won't I'm really, really trying to like the books that I purchase in a hard copy are ones that I've already read on Kindle,
Hmm.
usually Kindle Unlimited, something like that, right? It's just a
Yeah.
matter of like budget and what do
Yeah.
I want to actually put my money into? What do I want to actually put my like space in my house, regardless of how big my house is?
Hmm.
What space do I want to take up?
Hmm.
And right? Like I share my finances with another human, and so I can't just go and buy all the books that I want to because we also have to pay for the house and stuff. So,
Yeah.
so that's part of it. And I got tiny humans who are wildly expensive.
Hmm.
And so a part of me does look for like I'll read the back of a book.
Oh,
I'll get a little
yeah.
something because I need like I want to know,
And that is
especially
normal, to be clear.
yeah,
You're
and, like,
normal.
like,
I'm the
especially
weird
if
one.
I'm going in, I'm like, because there's been times where Topher's been like, "Let's go to Barnes& and Noble, just pick something out," and if I'm like, "Oh, this is a surprise pick out," Imma pick out something I haven't read, so I have something to read when I get home, it's gonna be excited. Like, I'm not buying for me, this is him saying it's like a gift. "Cool,
Yeah.
Imma get something new." And so, yeah, so I'll look at the back of the books, um, and I skim. I very grad school read the back of the book because I don't want too much information. I
Mhm.
am really frustrated when I'm on TikTok and they're giving me fucking everything. Like,
Yeah, some
stop
they
giving
just
when they're like,
yeah.
this is enemies to lover and fated mates and blah blah blah. And in this one, she goes and then she captures this guy, and then her
Mhm.
dad is actually the king. And you're like, well, then why the fuck am I gonna read it now?
Well,
3
yeah, and
words.
I'm sure
Give
some of
me
that happens
3 words. Give me
early.
1 trope, give me a spice rating, and tell me yay or fucking nay. Like, that's it.
Mhm.
Just and, like, if you wanna do tropes, then fine. Like, cool. Do you like dragons? Here's spicy dragons with fated mates. Here's vampires with trials. Like, here's
Yeah.
and so, like, you're giving me something to where I'm like, "Okay." Because if you like trials, cool, you'll pick up that book. If you like dragons, you'll pick up the book. If you like fated mates or enemies to lover, you just need a trope. You don't need the whole fucking book.
Well, okay, here's the thing is that I don't like any of those things. I don't particularly go, I want to read a dragon story. To me, I
Yeah,
go, the story is good if it compels me. And if there's dragons, I don't give a shit one way or another. It's like, is the what? I want to read a story that has a castle in it. Okay, like it
yeah,
doesn't like that's how insignificant some of those
yeah,
things are to me. Like, but I know that's crazy.
yeah.
That's you're the
No,
normal one.
it's not.
I'm the
No,
crazy one.
it's not crazy because I don't read. Here's the thing. I listen to tropes for things I don't like.
Okay,
Because for the most part,
true.
I like everything, right? I'm like, I'm here
Yeah.
for it. But if you're gonna be like, it's a werewolf vampire, not I'm out. I don't want it. I don't care.
Okay, but that's
I
why I go based off recommendation. If someone
Yes,
tells me that they loved it, I'm like, I'll read it.
yes,
But
absolutely.
and that's
If
pretty
you
much the
Yeah,
only thing. I only want to know if you loved it, and
yes.
that's it.
And yes, I'm okay with a few things, but yeah, like for the
Mhm,
most part, but I there's like certain things that I'm like, yeah, not into. So if you're gonna tell me that like trials I'm not into, will I read them? I do read them. Yes, I
mhm.
read them all the time.
I would have said the same
Is
thing, and
it
then I read
is it
Broadbent's
my
Trials, and I was
favorite?
like, I like it.
Well, and then that's the thing too, because in the third
And that's
book,
what I love is
the
having my mind
trial
changed.
because the third book is a trials book. That is a
Yeah,
trials book,
it's just
and
disguise.
it's done so beautifully. I was reading it and I was like, I'm
Mhm.
here for all of these fucking trials,
Yeah.
and I'm not mad about it because there's not just some fucking king sitting up at the top drinking his bullshit, watching it all happen. Like that's
Mhm.
yeah, fine. But like it's a little more organic. It's not just like we've created this game for you, and the
Yeah.
game,
Well,
like
I think that is part of what people like about the Trials, but yeah.
I want to write an enemies to lover so fucking badly, and I have something in my head that would I think would work, but I'm worried that I'm gonna fuck it up and that it's gonna not really be enemies to lover. It's gonna be like a whatever.
Well, and it doesn't
Um,
have if it ends up being like, something else, it just that maybe that's what it wanted to be anyway,
yeah, that's
but
true.
maybe
Yeah,
you started with the idea and that's what gave you some interesting other ideas.
yeah.
So, yeah. Um,
It's more of a friend to lover
yeah.
betrayed to enemies to lover
Yes, I think
situation. That's what it is. But a lot of the
yeah.
like friend to lover to betrayal, that's all pre-book. So what you're
Okay.
getting when you start the book is they're at
Is
enemy
there
status.
enemies?
They're
Yeah.
enemy status, and then you understand why they're
That's
enemy
fair.
status. Yeah.
And I even think it's interesting, like, you could argue, is that technically enemies to lovers if it's actually a betrayal and they were
Yeah.
never really enemies and now they whatever. But I think starting out a book
It's
and you hate this person because they
it's
betrayed you,
also
that's fair game.
it's so one of my things is the thing that irritates me, and I know it has to happen, right? But
Mhm,
like because you got to move a story along.
mhm.
But one thing that it irritates me so much about story movement is just like all of the things that could be solved if people just fucking talk to each other.
Yes, and that is one of my
Just
biggest things.
yeah. And so what I'm trying to do is like not fall into that trap where it's just people not wanting to talk to each other, right? Where
Mhm.
whatever. And like I'm good with people keeping things close to the vest or like maybe just revealing a little bit of information, but like if it's just full on miscommunications and like
No, and
just
nobody
full
likes
on
that.
omissions, that's boring.
It's a
But
rom-com shit,
but I
like
also want to play into that too in this enemies to lover story that I have in my head, only in the sense to be 100% fucking ironic and call it out. Where like
yeah.
the reason why they're enemies is because they just didn't have this one conversation that would have cleared everything up. It was a
Mhm.
complete misunderstanding. And instead of talking it out, someone shut somebody off. And it's been
Yeah.
like 20 years. And
Mhm,
like the characters literally like, are you fucking kidding me? 20
mhm.
years. 20 years of us not talking, of us not doing anything, of us not being together because you just didn't want to have a fucking conversation and ask me about this? Like, and I
Yeah.
want it to be like this mind blowing moment where, like, that's the humor in that, like,
But that's also not really the miscommunication trope because it
no,
starts out as that, but really that person is not worth that other person so much that they couldn't even have one conversation, or they're so flawed
yeah,
they
hmm
couldn't sacrifice that tiny shred of ego
that's
to
what
have
it
a
is.
conversation, and that's what will make it compelling. Because what you don't like is just like, oh, you
Yeah.
said this day, and I said this day.
The thing is that he is so afraid that she's going to confirm what he quote already knows, and it just plays into his biggest insecurity. He's like, I'm
Yes.
not, you know what? I already know it. I already know.
Yeah.
I know I'm not the one that's who's chosen because I'm never fucking chosen. So fuck you.
Yeah,
And
and I
just
think
shuts it
that's a
down.
fine use of miscommunication because
Yeah.
it's just a shield for what the real problem is.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have a true miscommunication trope, nobody likes that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's hard to write an enemies to lover because of one, it's a trope that's going to get spoiled very quickly because that's the first thing that people are going to talk about. I think it's hard to do an enemies to lover because it is hard to truly depict people who do not like each other liking each other.
Yeah.
and what that shift does.
You need some level of delusion. Yeah.
Mhm. You need some stubbornness, you need some sass, you need some bantering, you need all those things, and I think those are hard to write. Um,
Or a big like Rain killing his dad. Like
yeah, yeah,
that's like they're not even really enemies when that book starts, but you
yeah,
just can't get past it. So you have to
yeah,
be because you're like, fuck you. And so
yeah,
I think that's a really compelling way to do it is like,
yeah,
this is a thing that should not be crossable. Like,
yeah.
like, and so I think that's a good use of
But yeah, I mean, it's an emotional hang up, right? Where she's
uh-huh.
just like, how do you know how fucked up it is for the honor of this person? Like,
Yeah.
I'm betraying them and coming back, like, of being here. Like, it's so fucked up to be like,
You're in his
I
house and
can't do
yeah.
this because you took this thing, and, like, if I come into this thing, then I'm part of the problem too, and this is
Yeah.
the person who took care of me and raised me and lied to me, but took care of me
Mhm.
and raised me and is my person and all the things, and, like, what does that mean of me if I forgive you for this thing? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that
And
that
that's a
that's
great way to drive that
and
tension.
and it's compelling and it's logical and it makes sense, and it also makes sense how she gets past it.
Yes, it's expertly done, I would say.
Yeah.
How it's all it was almost just a tiny bit, maybe a little too fast, but
Mhm.
I forgive her for that. It's okay.
Yeah.
I would say it's like 2 chapters too fast or something.
Yeah.
Like it's very slight, and I still think it's a great book. But that's a really insane thing to get over. Like that
Yeah.
you shouldn't really be able to get over, and that's
Yeah.
where I think it makes it super interesting. But the part of the problem with enemies to lovers is people just writers giving stupid reasons for people to
Yeah.
be you have to hate this person. So
Yeah.
I made up an idea. Actually, I'm gonna reference Gina Denny again. The guys, this is the lady I just like watched like all of her TikTok. She has a bunch
Mhm.
where she talks about like people's like story arcs, she talks a lot of structure. So I used to just like play Stardew Valley and just put her TikToks on and just like listen to all of them. Um and so but she says okay, when you have a thing and you need two characters to do xy and you're like, how do I make them do that? Write down 5 ideas or 3 ideas about the most obvious reasons they would do that, and then your next two, that's your ones that you actually should
Yeah.
go with, because that's the problem is that people just choose like the most obvious thing and go with that, and that's what
Yeah.
pisses people off because you go, okay, that's easily defeated by one argument. Like,
Yeah.
all you have to do is just like whatever. But it's people. So I think that's my problem with Zayden and Violet is that they felt like you don't really gotta be mad at each other. You're just like the writer wants you to be mad at each other.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Serpent does it really well. Like
Mhm.
that's very deserved.
Yeah.
Trying to think.
One thing I think that I like about the way that Broadbent does an enemies to lover in Serpent is that you don't hate either character.
Yes,
You
that's an
don't
interesting one too. Yeah,
you don't hate Araya for having her hangups, and you don't hate Rain for killing her dad,
no,
right? Like
yeah,
you get it. It makes sense. And then you're almost rooting for them to get past their bullshit,
yeah,
which is kind of nice. And I think that that's what is also really compelling about villains that work well versus villains that don't work well is the villains that work well, you kind of understand why they're the villain.
yes. You cannot. No one's
You
gonna.
kind of get it a little bit. You
You can't have a
understand, and
cartoon villain.
yeah, and like you kind of get like, well, I mean, they're not. I mean, it's wrong the way they're doing it, but like, yeah, I mean, I might kind, and so like that's a part of a way that enemies to lover is also fun. Is like I don't necessarily. I want to either completely fucking hate one of the characters and then slowly fall for them because it's through the point of view who's slowly like that person who's falling for the person they absolutely fucking hate,
Yeah.
and it to be very like, well, shit, I fucking fell for this shit too, or to
Mhm.
be rooting for them because I'm like, I get it. I get that you guys cannot be, or you won't, or you, or
Or
the
yeah.
hangups or whatever. But like, it's fucked up. But he's not wrong, and like, it's fucked up. But
Yeah.
she's not wrong, and
This is
like,
the point of the Kajari is to do
and
this. Yeah.
exactly. And so I think that that is something that she does really well. That like we're kind of rooting for both the characters, even though the both of the characters are on opposite spaces, and so there's a wrestling that happens within the reader, And so the payoff when they get together is also for us because we get to put closure on our wrestling with their shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's really interestingly done as well. Did we talk about everything that we wanted to talk about?
I
Oh,
think we
well, one
did.
other thing. The fated mates thing is an interesting aspect to the enemies to lovers because it's like that thing that compels them,
Mhm.
or but I don't know, like
I
it's
think fated mates we can have the whole
that's like its
discussion
own
about.
thing too. But I
Yeah.
do think it's like that. Sometimes it's the only thing that binds the enemies to them to
Yeah.
makes them
Yep.
lovers, and I think that's cheap. Because
Mhm.
sure, the universe wants you to fall in love, but like I don't know. I'm suspicious of fates. Like for example, there's a fate person in the Serpent book, and I'm
Yep.
like, you gave us a win, but what's that going to cost us?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, were you suspicious at all when that character did that? I think it's Kaja,
Uh-huh. Or
something like that. But she's the one who made the Coriolis bond, and I was like, I mean, she goes, Nyaxia's going to go to war for
yeah.
this. But then I was just like, but why are you doing this? What makes you I don't know.
I think part of that though is that
Is it just
cert
fate likes to fuck
well,
around?
well, sure.
Yes.
But yes, 100. She's like, let's fucking stir this pot.
Yeah.
But I also think Serpent I think was light on the god lore. I get it. We have a goddess that literally comes down. I just hit myself in the face. That's cute. The goddess comes down. Like the whole reason we're there is because of this fucking goddess story. But I feel
Well,
like it was
in
still.
the third book, it's a lot.
That's what I'm saying. And so
Okay.
what I think is happening is that maybe she's ramping up that god lore and the religious
Mm.
lore and the backstory, like that world building of how much the gods actually have their hand in the world, so that when we get to book 3, it makes more sense because that motherfucker's hands are on the world.
You have to read the novella. I forgot. There's a really interesting god in that novella.
Okay.
A different one that you haven't read yet. But
I
it's 150 pages. It's such an easy read. It
I know.
flies
I
by.
feel like maybe I'll just like.
Oh, you can audiobook that one. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like we talked so much about the enemy silvers, and we still didn't really dive into
We
them
did
that
no,
much.
nope,
There's so
nope.
much. It's really, I mean, it's obviously one of the biggest tropes in the entire genre. I also think like a big way that enemy silvers does get fucked up though is in which we didn't really talk as much about is the way that it starts to happen. Too many
Yeah,
people jump the gun, too many
yeah,
people just like and I get like romance is also one of those genres that is another Gina Dunnyism. I've listened to like so many of her videos. I trying to follow other publishers, but she just has so much content. It's crazy. But
yeah,
she always talks about romance is one of the few genres that's very rigid. Like if you're writing a romance, it must have a happy ending or a happy for
yep,
now ending.
yep,
And so that is an interesting thing to me because on my little brain just I go, nothing is ever for sure. You can't just say, but like that's probably why I wouldn't write within a genre.
yeah,
And it's also I don't read really. I'm not looking for a romance book. I am looking for
yeah,
a good story. And if my friend recommends this romance book, I'll read it.
yeah.
But that's one of the interesting things is that like there's an expectation. But
What is our goal for next week? Same one?
I say always. I'm gonna be more serious about it. But I'm gonna try to
Yep.
write 5 days a week, or I'm just gonna try it every night. And if I slip up 2 nights, then there we go. I hit 5 days a week. Every night before bed, a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and 2,000 words for the week.
Cool.
And then hopefully by the time that I
I think the reason why that doesn't necessarily work for me, and I would
oh
rather
okay
just have a week
a
goal
week
for
max,
myself,
it's because it's
is
hard to carve
because
out every day.
it is hard to carve out every day, but also because I write the way that I read sometimes. I have a very hard time closing a book mid chapter. I have to
Oh,
start
I
on a
don't have any.
chapter.
Okay,
No, I have to
yeah,
finish a chapter. I have to be at a chapter break when I put the book down, and I kind of write like that.
it's crazy. Okay.
So I write when I sit down and write, I'm starting chapter 13, I'm finishing chapter 13. and then
Okay.
I put it away,
So
and
it's
then I
really
put it
asking
away.
you to do 5 chapters a week, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're like,
So
"Just write 100 pages or 100 words," I'd be like, "No,
I don't do that.
no." And in
Okay.
fact, when I do that, I feel like I haven't written it at all. I feel like a failure. Like, "I only wrote 100 words. What the
Okay.
fuck is
But
wrong
no,
with you? You didn't
that's
finish."
a good thing to find out is that
Yeah,
that's what doesn't work for you. I think
yeah,
it works for me because usually if I sit down and I write I'll just write something I'll figure out. I'll write like 500 words,
yeah,
and I never write full scenes or full chapters. Sometimes I write a full scene. Mostly I write full dialogue,
yeah.
like a full conversation. Um, but I'll write easily 2,000 words if I write a little every day,
Mhm.
and I'll write way more than I meant to. But if I don't make myself write every day, I will write nothing.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
I can carve out about an hour and a half of a day, like once, maybe twice a week, and I can get
mm.
2,000 words.
No, the reason I have as many words as I do is because I used to every night before bed I would just write a little. Not every night, but like most nights during the school year, I would just write
Yeah.
a little bit before bed because I would think about the book in the shower and then I would try to write a little bit, like for like 10 minutes after. Oh, should we pick a thing for next week, or are you gonna read? Do you think you can finish the book by next week or no? Because we
I
could
can
just do
try.
that book next
I
week
can
as a
try.
reaction. Should we have a
Yeah.
backup plan?
Yes, we should have a backup plan. I think I can finish my book, but I cannot finish 2 books in a week.
That's what I mean. Okay. So let's do the week after. Let's do like a reaction episode
Okay.
to what is this? The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk.
Mhm.
I have to like look at we could just do check-ins and then maybe have like a shorter episode, do a writing exercise.
Okay. Let's do that.
Okay. And then we'll write during the time and we don't
Okay.
have to read it unless you like it.
Okay.
And then we can do that.
Until then, keep reading.
Keep writing.